So I'm here today with Linda Slade, and we are going to talk about sexual attitudes in the US versus the UK. Welcome, Linda. Thanks for being
Hello.
here.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you.
So, can you tell all of our viewers how much time you've spent in the UK and the US?
Well, I was born in the UK,
Okay.
so I grew up partly in Wales, West Country, and then a lot in London. And I've also lived a lot in Europe, 2 years in Denmark, time in France, sometime about a year in Germany. So
Oh,
got that in the
wow.
background. And then solidly, I've lived in America for about 15 years. But I've also, prior to that, I was here when I was 17. I was here when I was 18. So I've
Okay.
had, you know, some of my late teenage years were in America as well.
Okay. And where would you say you spent more time dating?
Funnily enough, probably America.
Okay.
Only in that by the time I got to America, I was serious about relationships. Whereas in England, it was all just a bit of fun, nothing very serious. I was too busy getting on with my career. But
Okay.
in America, I got to that age where I wanted to settle down and started to date seriously.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Okay. And what industry are you in currently? What kind of work do you
I'm
do?
in the entertainment industry.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I mean, I'm producing at the moment, producing my own television work, mainly in Britain, but it does link in with America as well. So I'm kind of working in both countries.
Okay, fantastic. Well, you sound like a great resource to ask some questions today, so I'm going to dive right in. Okay, let's start with an easy one. Why don't you tell me what's the difference between sex education from what you've seen, and of course, it's all from personal experience, but what do you see about the sex education of people that grow up in the UK versus the US?
That's a good question. I don't know much about what students cover here in America, but in Britain, there is a strong sexual education. From the age of 12, 13-year-old, every single child in Britain is educated in sex, not just in the reproduction stuff, but illness, disease, contraceptives. There's a very good it's part of the curriculum, sex education in Britain. It's every child it's covered.
Mm,
I don't know where it is in standard now and exactly what they're covering, but even when I was at school, which was a couple of
couple
years
of years ago.
ago,
Yeah.
we still had sex education once a week
Okay.
from the age
Once
of
a
about
week.
12,
Wow.
13.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what would you say is the difference between the general attitudes around sex that you notice when you're talking to people from the UK versus the US?
I think this is part of the British culture. We don't talk about anything personally on a superficial level.
Hmm.
So, sex is something you don't really talk about unless, well, in my experience, and this is all my experience, obviously, sex is something you only talk about when you're drunk, which of
Hmm.
course is very common in Britain. We like to drink, and that loosens us up. But as general conversation, you don't really talk about it so much.
Hmm.
Over here, I am shocked. The things that people talk about publicly about their sex life and their sexuality and what they like, it's much more open.
Hmm.
And I'm actually thinking, jumping a little bit here, but particularly on things like the gay issue,
Hmm.
here people fight for their rights, and it's in your face. It's almost too much. In England, it's like, you know what people do behind their closed doors is their own private business. I don't care. Get on with it. Have a good time. I just
Hmm.
don't need to know about it.
Hmm.
It's a very different
Hmm.
mentality, I
Sort of,
think.
it feels a bit distasteful then to you, sort of how in your face it can be in the States, and
Yeah, I'm just like, get on with it. I
yeah.
don't care, and I hate it when governments start to interfere with people's personal preferences of what they can and can't do.
Hmm.
It's like, it's got nothing to do with the government. It's got nothing to do with the world out there. What goes on in someone's bedroom? I mean, it's the whole thing of the English mentality of the British castle. Our home is our castle.
Hmm.
It goes back to medieval days. But we're much more private in Britain.
Hmm.
And I think so. What is acceptable is, if it's acceptable to you, it's acceptable. It's not up to anybody else.
Hmm. And are
Very
the
different.
rights there equal for same-sex couples as heterosexual couples?
I think they are now. I'm not
Hmm.
100% sure. In England, I'm pretty sure I'm not 100% sure actually on that, whether the marriage laws are the
Yeah.
same now. But I think they are. I
Yeah.
think, but it's it's less of an issue over there than it is over here.
Okay, so here there's sort of more, this is something really important, and over there it's like, it's my private business, so it doesn't matter if the government
and nobody bothers them. It's not an issue. So that's my experience.
And what about, so that sounds like talking about sex in, at pubs and with the general public, but what about with partners? Do you feel, when you've been with UK versus US partners, as far as talking about like your needs sexually, or talking in the bedroom, like same?
That's an interesting one again, because you're talking about certain different types of people. I mean, I think of some of the business guys that I dated in England. No, we didn't really discuss sex. I remember one guy, we'd been dating for 5 months, and I remember the first time he said he loved me. We were in 5 months into the relationship. He finally was able to say he loved me, and I nearly collapsed with shock. We were in this relationship for 5 months, and he couldn't even say he loved me. So, but then another guy who was an artist, my God, he would talk so openly about it, and it would be, he'd literally say to me, he would imagine himself as a woman so that he could try to understand women's needs, and he was incredible. I mean, that was the most amazing lover I've ever had. Over here, it's more blunt. It's in your face. There's no subtlety. What do you want? What do you want me to talk about? What do you want me to do? Can I do this? There's a whole list of things straight up that a guy seems to hit you with. But again, maybe it's because I'm older now. Maybe I'm more mature than I was 15, 20 years ago. So I am dealing with a different age of men as well.
Yeah, maybe not beating around the bush, just getting right to what do you need and want here. Yeah. Okay, interesting. So talk a little bit more about inhibitions in the bedroom. Do you feel that someone from the UK is going to be more inhibited, or because they're going to hit the pub first, they're going to be less inhibited versus Americans? What do you think?
I have to say that English, again, my experience, British people, there's a big difference between the private sex and everything else that isn't sex, as in is not intercourse. And I have to say there's so much playing around that goes on in Europe that is okay because it's not intercourse. And it'll happen in a pub, it usually happens when people drink, and it's crazy, but it's kind of considered harmless and okay. It's that European, like, we're just playing, we're having fun, nobody's getting hurt. I'm not giving you my body completely because we're not having real sex. It's not intercourse, but we're playing, we're satisfying each other, and it's all good, clean fun.
Okay.
It's definitely an element of that. What was the question?
Inhibition. Who's more inhibited?
But yes, English people, unless they've been drinking, there's a whole set of morals and modes of conduct and ways to be proper. Unless people have been drinking, I don't think you get yourself into any situation in England unless, I mean, again, I grew up in the media world in the 70s and 80s. It was pretty wild, to be honest, back then. In fact, very wild. There's a big thing right now in England about paedophilia. It's interesting. It's literally a witch hunt, and they're attacking all these big celebrities. And quite honestly, I grew up in that world in the 80s. It was going on with everyone. Anybody who was young, any pretty woman, but it was kind of almost normal and acceptable back then. It isn't today. They're really clamping down on it and exposing it, but they're chasing all these people from 30 years ago and locking them up. And yeah, I mean, at 16, people were sticking their tongues down my throat, and quite well-known media people that I would expose, but it was normal back then. It was a kind of, that's what you were dealing with as a young girl.
And it was in the pubs, like they wouldn't invite you back. It was sort of like this safe space where it wasn't sex. So
it was almost sort of in public. Don't know if I can say this on YouTube. I became very good at the old keeping the men happy without myself getting sexually involved. I learned that trick very early on. Because as long as I sorted out the man, I got myself out of a situation. And then never... So my sexual... And when I say sex, I'm talking about sexual intercourse. was very minimal because you could play and you didn't mess yourself up. At least it didn't mess me up by doing that.
You mean like falling in love with someone and getting your heart broken sort of messed you up?
Yeah, there was none of that.
Yeah.
You know,
the UK girls keep a safe distance.
Even just ending up having a one-night stand and actually having sex or anything like that never happened. Sex, as in sexual intercourse, never happened. So long as, if I got myself in a difficult situation, I'd sort the man out, make sure he was happy, he'd fall asleep, I didn't get messed up through giving my body to somebody that I didn't want to, and so a lot of that went on.
Interesting. Okay. And so when you view the Americans, do you feel that they're more likely to go all the way and have intercourse in a one-night stand and give the man what he wants, and the American women?
That's been my experience. And over here, it's also very black and white. It's like, if I'm coming back to your house, we're having sex. I'm like, no, you're not. But there is that kind of... It's all the way or nothing.
Yeah.
It's to me. It's a shame because I think you can. Sexual play is a lot of fun. It's healthy. It's.
Yeah.
I think it's healthy. But once you start as a woman giving your body, you're taking so many risks, and not just health risks, but also emotional risks. I think for me, anyway, if I give my body, I'm letting a man into the sanctity of who I am as a woman. So it's very significant for me. However, if I'm just playing around having fun, it's healthy, it's invigorating, and it's harmless. So, and I don't know whether I think that is a European mentality. I think that's quite different to the American mentality.
So if you had to make some big stereotype, who would you say is wilder in the bedroom, the UK or the US woman or man?
I think the US. I think they're more open to not the darker side, but the
kinkier side of sex? The
kinkier side, from my experience. But again, that might be because I've been older and now I'm dealing with that. Whereas when I was younger, it was all just having sex was scary.
the Americans, I feel, also, from talking with a lot of men, they say there is a lot of inhibition in the bedroom with American women who, don't enjoy sex, who just sort of are, lay on their back and are penetrated, and there's no, they're not having that much pleasure or having orgasms or making sounds. So when you're describing the UK woman who's more playful and teasing and all of that, to me, this sounds a bit more wild, a bit more, you don't know if you're going to have penile vaginal sex or not, and it sounds a bit friskier and wilder to me, but maybe that's because I'm an American, and I don't know, but it's interesting to hear your perception of it, and or maybe some of it's too, how the media portrays American women sexually, but again, it's a conversation to have, and it's interesting to look at, but you're voting for the American as less inhibited. I like it. Okay, let's talk about something very taboo, masturbation. Is that something, what do you think? UK, US, what's the difference there? First of all, what's your slang for it, for men and for women? What do you say?
I hate the word masturbation, but I think that's the word we use. Oh, well, I have my own little codes. I'm like the old 1, 2, 3. Which is,
I'm sure if we asked a man, he could tell us 15 different ways to say, that he masturbated. They have a million. I'm trying to think, rub one out, or I don't know. No. There's I
don't think we use any words. I don't think. I don't think we talk about it in England.
Okay. Well, for everyone watching, please add in the comments if what expressions that they use. But so you don't have there's nothing coming to your mind for if a woman's masturbating or a man is masturbating, or do you talk about masturbation in relationships?
Yes. Well, no. It's interesting. In England, we just say, "Let's play."
Let's play.
That means masturbation. And I think that's much nicer. It's fun. It's innocent. Play is fun and innocent. Masturbation is something dark, male, and seedy.
Well, it literally means to defile oneself with the hand. It from Latin. Yeah, it means to defile yourself, which is why a lot of people are using the term self-pleasuring now. because that is what it is. But I like this term playing, and actually this word is becoming more popular in the U.S. Let's play. It used to be, let's hook up. Now we say hang out as well. But there are play parties and let's play. It's becoming more playful, the sexuality, and I think that's really great.
Normal, I think.
Yeah.
There's very innocent about it.
Yeah. I like that innocence. That's really sweet.
I do remember my first time I learned about how to satisfy a man, and it was a girlfriend of mine, and she was 19, very beautiful, and I was at her house, and she literally got out a bottle of wine and showed me all the movements with her tongue, without going into too much description. It was very funny. I've always credited her since. That was the person who taught me everything I knew.
That is so funny. Well, speaking of, so what would you say are the cultural differences in talking about our preference for oral sex? Do you feel it's the same? Is there...
I think it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I feel like sometimes Americans can seem really into it, and but in like their, I don't know, in pornography or things like that, and or there's a lot in the culture about it, but I'm not as familiar with the UK.
Yeah, I'd say definitely.
Kind of falls into that category of play, maybe?
Yeah, yes, totally.
Yeah.
Again, it's innocent.
Innocent
play. Excuse for everything.
It's not sex, right?
It's not sex.
Yeah.
It isn't. It's having fun.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not a big deal.
And what about, and so in this category of play, does that also include kinky sex, like spanking and things like that? Is there?
Oh, now that is much more American.
Okay.
Well, again, I have to keep going back to my experiences, but all of that world opened when I came to America. Okay. I didn't know anything of that world at all. Now, that was maybe because I was younger, and I was more open to experiment and be open to more ways of having sex. And plus, actually, when I look back with my husband, also we went down that path, and it felt safe because he's my husband, whatever. We had a lot of fun and tried everything. But an American husband. Whereas up until then, my experience was very naive when it came to that world. Very naive. I had my world opened, literally opened with what I saw in this country. And,
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I have just one last question. What is the UK versus US stance on bisexuality or casual same-sex play? Is that sort of included in the playfulness? Is it only available to women, or is it also available to men? Can they fool around with a guy and it's not considered
You know
sex?
What? I've had more fun in the UK in that field. It's so normal. It's like whatever happens, whoever you're with. Again, sexual fun, play. We go for it. There's been all sorts of, I've had a lot of fun over there. Again, but here it's like, it's either evil, taboo, and not allowed, or you're fighting to be allowed it and taking it out into the world and going, this should be allowed. Instead of just getting on with it and having fun, which I think is more the the European UK mentality.
Yeah. Well, it seems like talking with you, it sort of busts this idea that the UK is really prude and conservative and closed. It does seem like there's a lot of playfulness, and of course there's always going to be conservative groups and religious groups in every culture, but it seems very playful and fun, and
it is. But I do think that when it comes to the sanctity of sex in England, I think it is much more closed. Sexual intercourse, I have to keep distinguishing what I mean there, because when I say sex, Americans always just think I'm talking about everything to do with.
Yeah, well, I'm a sex educator, which is why I say penile vaginal sex, because to me, sex is a huge spectrum that you can play in.
Yes.
And penile vaginal it's true. Americans are very connected to that being sex.
Yes, yes. So I have to say that the actual sanctity of the pure relationship.
Yeah.
I don't know how much. It seems to be more of a serious. It is more closed, I think, compared to America. But when it comes to the world of having fun in England, you get a couple of drinks down you. And, strip poker in a pub. there's a lot of fun.
Does that mean that relationships are more open in the UK? Do you sort of hear about more open relationships or affairs or mistresses being tolerated?
Yes.
Yeah?
It's all behind, it's not talked about. It's never talked about. It goes on all the time, but nobody talks about it.
Okay.
And wives know. They know their husband has a mistress.
Yeah.
But they don't, I don't think they worry, because the man comes home, he loves his wife, he's there for his wife, the children, he stays in the marriage, he cares for them, he has a bit of fun on the side.
And does she have a bit of fun on the side?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it's not talked about.
Yeah.
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
It's not made into an issue, because ultimately loving your partner and being married and in love and in a deep relationship, as opposed to just being out there playing, there's a difference.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. And I think there's less of that here. I think if somebody goes and plays with somebody else and they're in a relationship, that relationship's over.
Yeah.
It's black or white. You're 100% or not. In England, we pretend it's 100% or not. My God, it's all going off. We're all having fun.
I remember, that reminds me of an American boyfriend I had, who I came back to his apartment. We had been dating for a while one night, and he said, I feel it, like you kissed a woman, or, tonight or something. I said, yeah, I did. And to me, I had this attitude of it was playfulness, and to him, it was cheating. I was like, what?
Well, now in England, that would excite your partner. The idea that you've been a sort of lesbian, or you've kissed a woman, or my God.
Yeah.
Straight guys, they love that.
Yeah. It's a mixed bag, I find, in the U.S. Some, they like it, and others, it feels like cheating to them, and they're threatened by it. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I think America, and again, it comes from that puritanical background. Funnily enough, and you don't think about it from the media perspective, but actually America is much more puritanical. When it gets to dirty sex, it is dirty. It's really there.
Yeah,
but
because of the backlash, right?
Clean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very one or the other. Whereas we just get on with it in the UK. We don't make a big deal about it. It's life. It's, playing. I think that is the psychological difference.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Cool. Well, thanks, Linda. Is there anything else you want to say about sex, or where people can find you if they want to hear more of your thoughts and ideas about? If they want to interview you about sex, do you have a website or a blog or anything? Where's your writing?
About sex. Not about sex.
But your books, you're an author.
Yeah, I do actually work with the voice. And the funny thing about the voice is it's very connected to the sexuality.
It is.
And the more comfortable you are with your voice, the more comfortable you are with your sexuality, the more the voice sits and reflects who you really are. If you're trying to present something you're not, and you're sexually blocked in any way, it reads in the voice.
Yeah.
So I do quite a lot of work with clients, getting their voices connected to their body, their sexuality. The most successful voice on media is what we call the bedroom voice, because it's a voice that massages. It's a voice that goes out, and it's because it's raw, it's real, it's connected. And I think if a person's connected to their sexuality, to their body, and to their voice, they're present, they're real. None of this phony, cutesy, pretty plastic surgery, whatever.
Yeah.
It's that realness that I find very sexually exciting in a person. So a lot of the voice exercises I do are quite sexual.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
We laugh about it.
I was just listening to a lecture yesterday with a Tantra teacher saying how the sounds that a woman makes in the bedroom lead a man to please her more over time. Not even like, oh yeah, right there, but literally just the sounds create this sort of feedback loop, and I found that really interesting.
And also the sounds that a woman makes are usually the most accurate indication of the pitch of her voice naturally.
Oh, interesting.
So when I'm working with a woman to get her voice grounded, like, what noise do you make when you're having sex?
Sounds like they need to grab their iPhone and do a quick recording and just catch a little bit.
Stop, honey, I just need to record this. But and you're breathing.
Yeah.
And most people don't breathe properly in real life. So when you work with the breath, which is, by the way, what releases the orgasm, it's like you are alive and you are full, you are complete, you are releasing your natural voice, you are present in the moment. And that the way that all connects the human being together, we're so fragmented right now between our head and our heart and our body and our looks and what we think we have to be. It's so blocked. So I do a lot of that kind of work when I'm working with people, so especially women, in just grounding their voices. Because if they're trying to market something or sell something and they go, "Hi, I love this product," I mean, it's like nobody wants to listen to that. And also they don't believe you. So
cool. What's your website, Linda?
It's www.authenticvoice.vpweb.com. VP as in V as in for Victor and P for Paul.
Fantastic. I'll put it below this video. Well, thank you so much, Linda. It was so fun chatting with you.
Yes, you're welcome.
And thanks everyone for listening. Okay, bye.
Bye.